As technology continues to improve, the line between movies and video games continues to get blurrier. Advancements in visual fidelity, animations, performance capture, and frame rate have allowed game developers to completely engross their audiences, enabling them to be enraptured within these created worlds. But this technology isn't worth much without great writers, performers, and great designers behind these projects who can apply these tools to create amazing experiences. Thankfully, Senua's Saga Hellblade II does have all of that. Not only is the game a beautiful display of technical wizardry, but also creative and artistic wizardry. It features a story about overcoming trauma and dealing with mental disorders, backed by amazing performances, beautiful cinematography, and jaw-dropping action. It's not a perfect game, however, as it still stumbles in similar ways that the first game did. Hi, my name is Jay, and this is Good Games Dude. The original Hellblade came out in 2017 and was a marvelous display of what was capable on the brand new PlayStation 4s and Xbox Ones. It also featured themes that, at the time, were very rare to see in video games. While I enjoyed my time with the game, I felt that the game went on for too long, as the last hour or two didn't introduce anything new that kept me interested. 7 years later, developer Ninja Theory has put out Hellblade II, but much has changed in the gaming landscape since the first game came out. For one, developer Ninja Theory is now a first-party game studio. 2, we've now jumped into a whole nother console generation. And 3, cinematic games that look and feel practically like movies are not as impressive as they once were. Studios like Naughty Dog, CD Projekt Red, and Remedy Entertainment are all creating cinematic visuals that come close to live-action footage. So while the novelty has somewhat worn off, it does beg to wonder where Hellblade II stands in all of this. While it doesn't do anything too revolutionary for the genre, I think Hellblade II is a worthy sequel to the original that further blurs the line between movies and video games. No matter if you've played the original game, or just want to learn more about how games are becoming even more cinematic, join me as I review Hellblade II and talk about what it does differently from the original game 7 years ago. If you've never played the first Hellblade, don't feel bad, because Hellblade 2 is still welcome to newcomers. The main character, Senua, starts off her journey as a slave, heading to Iceland. Her initial goal is to find and stop the slavers that have been raiding and kidnapping her people. But when she arrives, she finds that the land and the situation she's ventured into are a lot more complicated than she first anticipated. It is a land of giants and of people who live in fear of them. And it's up to Senua to take on these giants to save those she cares about. Some of the themes and concepts from the original game do carry over. Themes such as mental disorder, overcoming personal fears, and learning to see things through different perspectives are all still here. But in Hellblade 2, these themes have been taken to their next natural evolution. For example, the first game was all about Senua and her internal conflict to overcome her trauma. But in Hellblade 2, the focus switches from the internal to the external. Senua must now help others overcome their trauma. And as Senua learns to become more of a leader, she must help others overcome their doubts about how to defeat the giants and win over their support. The game now features a good amount of other supporting characters that help to show this is no longer just Senua's fight. And each performer delivers amazing performances that sell the emotional weight of each moment.
And some of us use others to stem the tides.
Others? What do you mean?
Shall I tell her, Thorgestur?
Tell me.
Shall I tell her what your father's been doing?
What else is there to do, Fargrimmer? We found a way to keep our people safe.
He's part of it too, he believes.
Your people. are dying.
There is no other way.
Tell us.
What are they doing?
And it's amazing how each character, location, and grain of dirt is so beautifully rendered. This is in large part because the game utilizes Unreal Engine 5, but the game also uses artistic and dramatic camera work, lighting, and visual effects to make each moment pop. It's become cliche at this point, but when the graphics are this lifelike, I felt really captured by the game's story and forgot I was playing a video game. This is by far the biggest improvement over the original game, as Hellblade 2's visual upgrade only makes it feel even more cinematic. But these technical elements don't mean much if not for the game's themes. And just like the original game, the theme of mental disorder and dealing with the symptoms of psychosis is just as important. Ninja Theory's portrayal of psychosis should yet again be commended because of how it portrays it with real maturity and understanding. It's not portrayed stereotypically, as if it were some sort of quote-unquote gift or superpower, but rather it is shown as it is, and how it can be a real challenge for those with it. Really, the real spectacular feat, or quote-unquote superpower, is the strength and willpower of the individual, whether it be Senua or the real-life individuals with mental disorders, who are able to move forward despite their circumstances. Even though Hellblade II features many cinematic-like elements, it is still a game. In the first game, the player controlled Senua through an onslaught of different combat scenarios and puzzles. It's the same here in Hellblade 2, but this game separates itself from the first by adding more variety. Combat is now more focused and more intimate. Players now fight against enemies one at a time, rather than in groups. While this might sound like a downgrade from the original, it's actually an improvement, creating less frustration and allowing the player to learn patterns and movements of each enemy type. And thankfully, there are plenty of different enemy types, with adversaries using different weapons and tactics to harm the player. Puzzles have also been worked upon. While the game still has puzzles where the player has to line up certain objects to create certain symbols, it does introduce other puzzle mechanics, like having to shift between different realities. I also noticed a fewer amount of puzzles, which is good because it helps to keep the ball rolling. But unfortunately, Hellblade 2 makes the same mistake as the original, where the latter third of the game doesn't introduce anything new. There aren't any new combat or puzzle mechanics added, and the story and plot retread some of the same ideas. Near the end, I ran into battles and riddles that I felt like I'd seen before, with story scenarios that were similar to other parts. Even then, however, I still felt that the ending was rushed. The game ends at an abrupt spot that also leaves story elements and threads left hanging in the air. I felt that even just 20 or 30 minutes more added to the end could have given the game a little more closure and made the ending feel a little more natural. But I don't want to knock the game too much because by the end of it, I still did enjoy it. The game has insanely beautiful visuals, lighting, and animations that give the game an amazing sense of realism. And the story has so many emotionally powerful moments with important themes within them. It's just a shame that the gameplay can't hold up the last third of the game. But even with that, I'd highly encourage people to at least try it, even if it doesn't stick the landing. Looking back at developer Ninja Theory's track record, it's amazing to see how much this studio has grown. Even though this company's games typically don't sell astronomical numbers, It's a studio that continues to impress with its visual prowess and unique stories that are atypical of other games out there. Whatever the studio's next project may be, whether it be Hellblade 3 or something new and different, my excitement for it has only increased as I look forward to how the developer pushes the limits of the video game medium. That's why I'm giving Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 a 4 out of 5. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know in the comments below about what you thought about Hellblade 2 if you've already played it. New videos come out every week, so come back again soon for even more on the best that video games have to offer.